Ruben has fallen in love with someone else. In the lab, I saw it with my own eyes, Lorena, in a coquettish tone, ordered him, "Kiss me, or I'll pull the plug on the computer." Ruben gave a helpless smile, then actually bent down and kissed her. He held her face, absorbed and tender. This is the boy I've loved for 10 years. Chapter 1. I went through the chat history between Ruben and Lorena. From the very beginning, Lorena had been domineering. She said she liked his brows and eyes and wanted him to be her boyfriend. Ruben is the kind of person who is calm and self-controlled, someone who keeps a certain distance from others. So at first, he was quite repulsed by Lorena's entitled attitude. He deleted her several times, but each time, Lorena added him back. When I looked at their messages, I noticed a clear shift. It was in November last year. At that time, Ruben's experiment had run into significant obstacles. He stayed in the lab night after night, yet failed to get the expected results. I was also busy with my own experiment. It was a critical phase for me too. So Ruben didn't tell me anything. I only found out later. I apologized guiltily, saying I hadn't fulfilled my responsibility as a girlfriend, but Ruben smiled and said it was just a small setback, that it was all over now. He told me not to blame myself for what he had been unable to handle at the time. Yet during that period, he and Lorena were in frequent contact. He used to ignore all her messages, but on those nights when the experiment wore him down, Ruben started replying. Lorena found out about the difficulties he was facing. At first, she tried every possible way to encourage him through messages, to make him laugh. Later, she deliberately chose the late-night hours, the most emotional, the most tedious moments, to go to the lab and find him. Once, she sent him a photo of herself in an ultra-short skirt. "Ruben, does it look good?" Ruben replied with a simple "Then I'll wear it tonight and come keep you company." "No need," Ruben said, but even so, he still replied patiently. Another time, she sent him a design for a tattoo. It was the letter R, his initial. "Ruben, I want to tattoo this over my heart. Do you think it'll look good? It'll hurt a lot if you try to remove it later." Ruben replied. A few hours later, she sent him a photo of the tattoo inked over her chest. "Ruben, now you'll be in my heart forever." After that, the photos Lorena sent became more revealing, and her words more suggestive. Ruben told her not to send him such photos. If he were a bad person, she would be in danger. Lorena replied, "But I like you, Ruben. I'd like you even more if you were a little bad. You have feelings for me too, don't you? Last time I kissed you, you didn't push me away. I have a girlfriend. That's fine, as long as you like me and I like you. What does having a girlfriend matter? Don't you think that makes it even more exciting?" "What do you mean?" Ruben replied. "For example, you tell your girlfriend you're busy with your experiment, but actually you're with me. When your girlfriend calls to check on you, you answer while catching your breath, telling her your experiment isn't going well and you'll see her later. Wouldn't that be thrilling?" Ruben replied, "Why are you so bad? And yet you still like me, don't you?" Ruben even created a private photo album to store pictures related to Lorena. Photos they took together, photo booth shots. Lorena leaning against his shoulder with a bright smile, pouting slightly as she kissed him, and more. The private album required a password. I knew Ruben always used my birthday as his password. The ridiculous part was that this album was no exception. He still used my birthday. I was trembling with anger. Chapter 2. I had known Ruben for 20 years as my childhood sweetheart, yet I couldn't compete with the mere year or so he had spent with Lorena. Maybe it was the feeling Lorena gave him that he liked. By the time Ruben came out after washing up, I had already gone through everything. "Ruben, we're breaking up." I tossed the phone in front of him. He looked down at the messages, and his face gradually turned pale. "Crystal, I'm sorry. I was under a lot of pressure back then. I don't know what was wrong with me. I'm sorry, but I don't like Lorena. I really don't." I was so furious I laughed instead. "You don't like her? I saw you kissing her in the lab today." Ruben froze. He looked at me, his eyes full of gloom and pain, as if I were the one in the wrong. I couldn't control myself. "Crystal, I'm sorry. I didn't want this, but I really couldn't control it." "So you're saying you couldn't resist her?" Ha, fine. I wish you and that home-wrecking couple a lifetime of misery disguised as happiness. I've known you for 20 years. And this is the first time I've truly seen what you are. Ruben, don't ever let me see you again. Crystal, Ruben grabbed my wrist, unwilling to let me go. I slapped him hard with my other hand. A red mark quickly appeared on his face. Crystal, can you give me a little more time? I'll definitely figure out why I've been acting like this. I promise. I used all my strength to push him away. Every word you say right now just makes me feel even more disgusted. Chapter 3. After breaking up with Ruben, my friend Renata cursed him out as a total jerk and even looked into Lorena. She said the reason Lorena pursued Ruben was because his brows and eyes somewhat resembled her one that got away. Raymond. Raymond was the unattainable star of their faculty, a single, overseas returned professor. Someone Lorena could never have. Burning with anger, I realized she hadn't even chased Ruben because she truly liked him. I felt like I had to do something. Otherwise, the moment I stopped, memories would flood my mind. Ruben at 6 years old, pulling me up when I fell crying into the grass, gently wiping my tears, braiding my hair for me. Ruben at 10, patiently waiting outside the classroom for me to finish school so we could walk home together. Always stopping by DeLong Square to buy me my favorite apricot blossom pastry. When I was grounded by my mom for being mischievous, he climbed through the window just to keep me company, smiling at me. Crystal, don't be upset. If you can't go out and play, I'll stay and play games with you, okay? I didn't want to remember, but the past kept flooding in. I saw 15-year-old Ruben folding 999 paper cranes just because of something I said jokingly. Inside each unfolded crane was a message. Crystal, I wish you success in the exams. Crystal, I hope you're happy every day. Until I opened one that read, Crystal, I really like you. I saw 17-year-old Ruben, frantic when I fell ill. My father was away on a business trip. Ruben was also out of town for a national competition. But when he heard that my test results were uncertain, whether benign or malignant, he gave up a competition he was almost guaranteed to win, left the training camp, and took the earliest flight to the hospital to find me. Even my father didn't drop everything to come immediately. But Ruben appeared right in front of me. He smiled at me, telling me not to be nervous, no matter the result. He would wait with me. I saw 18-year-old Ruben carefully kissing me under the camphor tree, and that image gradually overlapped with the way he lowered his head to kiss Lorena. The more I thought about it, the more I hated him. Chapter 4. I ran into Raymond off campus. He was standing under the awning of a shop that hadn't opened yet, smoking. Rain was drizzling steadily outside the eaves. I ran over and stood beside him. As he lowered his cigarette, about to put it out, I spoke first. It's okay, Professor Raymond, I don't mind the smell of smoke. Raymond glanced at me sideways. Are you a student at P University? No, I'm from H University next door. He nodded, his tone fairly gentle. You know me? Well, Professor Raymond became a professor at such a young age. And you're a leading figure in the XX industry. It's hard not to know you, isn't it? A faint smile flickered across his face. Perhaps he had heard too much flattery. After putting out the cigarette, Raymond said, being a professor isn't as impressive as you think. Really? I quietly watched the rain outside grow heavier, chatting with Raymond in a casual, offhand way. Professor Raymond, could I sit in on one of your lectures sometime? I have a classmate who's your student. She said your classes are very interesting. Raymond replied calmly. My lectures are open, but your classmate is probably lying to you. My students all think my classes are difficult and dull. Interesting has nothing to do with them. I laughed. Professor Raymond, maybe what my classmate meant is that you are interesting. Raymond looked at me. I smiled back at him. What's your classmate's name? I'll call on them to answer questions next time. If they can't answer, will points be deducted? I asked. They will. Raymond replied gently. Then I'd better not reveal her name, or she might come after me for costing her participation points. Raymond's smile looked a little like Ruben's. I couldn't help but space out for a moment, seeing me stare at him absent-mindedly. He asked, "What's wrong?" Nothing. I shook my head. Chapter 5. I dragged Renata along to attend Raymond's class. When he saw me in the lecture hall, he paused for a moment. He remembered me. I listened attentively throughout the lecture. After class, I took my notes and went to find Raymond. He was shutting down his computer. Professor Raymond, aren't you being too modest? Your class is clearly quite interesting. Raymond looked up at me, then glanced at my neatly organized notes. Interesting? The friend who came with you was bored enough to fall asleep. Renata is a humanities student. I dragged her here. But I found your lecture very engaging. Is that so? He closed his laptop and looked at my serious expression. Half jokingly, he said, then you're welcome to apply for my graduate program in the future. I'm already in my second year of graduate school. Really? Then, Professor, can I add your contact? Just in case I do apply to P University someday. I can send you a personal statement. Raymond didn't refuse. He gave me his phone number. Chapter 6. The third time I saw Raymond was at a lounge bar. It was completely unexpected. A little tipsy. I spotted him passing by and took the initiative to greet him. What a coincidence. Professor Raymond. Maybe the word professor made him instinctively take on a mentor's perspective toward me, even though I wasn't his student. So before heading to his friend's table, he still reminded us, don't drink too much. Dizzy from drinking, I leaned on Renata for support, vaguely staring at Raymond's face. And once again, I thought of Ruben. Then I just stood by his table, refusing to leave. One of Raymond's friends teased him. Raymond, who's this pretty girl? I didn't hear what Raymond replied. I just stared blankly at his face, and then, silently, tears began to fall. Raymond stood up and handed me a tissue. He asked Renata, how much has she had to drink? Renata thought for a moment. Honestly, not much. Crystal just has a low alcohol tolerance. I caught a whiff of Raymond's scent. It was different from Ruben's, and my tears only fell harder. Raymond glanced at me. What's wrong? What happened for you to cry like this? I answered honestly. I just broke up. Looks like I guessed wrong. I thought you failed an exam. I cried even harder. Raymond seemed a bit helpless. He kept comforting me, seeing that the two of us were in no state to manage ourselves. He said a quick goodbye to his friends and decided to drive us back to school. Chapter 7. Raymond played music in the car. I listened for a while but couldn't tell what song it was. Beside me, Renata was still angrily cursing that jerk. After listening for a while, Raymond in the front seat asked, "You got cheated on? That bad?" "Maybe I just wasn't good enough," I said dejectedly. "They're the ones with no morals. Why are you blaming yourself?" Raymond sounded taken aback. "Well said, Professor Raymond." Renata clapped enthusiastically. I fell silent for a moment, then asked Raymond, "Have you never been in a relationship?" He didn't deny it. Then maybe you wouldn't understand. The resentment clawed at my chest, but I couldn't help wondering if maybe I really wasn't good enough. If I had cared about him a little more during that time, would Lorena have had the chance to take advantage of the situation? I knew that way of thinking was wrong. I knew Ruben had cheated, but 20 years of history still pressed heavily against my heart. To move past it, I would first have to carve out those 20 years from within myself. I murmured softly, as if speaking to the wind, "It hurts so much. It'll get better." Raymond said gently, "You'll meet someone better." Chapter 8. The next day, I went to attend Raymond's lecture for the second time, and I saw Lorena. She was beautiful. Unlike the bold, unrestrained way she flirted with Ruben, when facing Raymond, she carried a hint of innocence. The liveliness in her smiling eyes was captivating. She listened attentively and was actively engaged. When she raised her hand to answer questions, her responses were flawless. Lorena did not treat Raymond the way she treated Ruben. Had she failed? Or had she never even tried? As expected, the way one treats a one that got away is different, isn't it? I wondered. After class, I sincerely apologized to Raymond for my behavior the previous night and offered to treat him to an art exhibition as compensation. Raymond took the ticket and, in good humor, said thank you. That was when Lorena pushed the door open. She had left her notebook in the classroom. When she saw me, she looked slightly surprised. "Crystal, you're here to attend Professor Raymond's class too?" Holding her notebook, she turned and smiled at Raymond, her tone soft and gentle. "Professor Raymond, look how popular your class is. Even students from other schools and majors come just to attend." Raymond smiled. "Is that so? If you came because of my reputation, why were you zoning out during the last lecture? He looked at me. I had been staring at Lorena for quite a while. When did I protested. I was paying attention the whole time. I handed over my notes. If you don't believe me, take a look. Raymond took them. As he flipped through my notes, Lorena's sharp eyes caught the exhibition ticket in his hand, and I held the other one. Her smile froze. Crystal, we need to talk. After Lorena left the classroom, I received a message from an unfamiliar number. What do we have to talk about? You did it on purpose, didn't you? Lorena ordered a milk tea and smiled at me, getting close to Professor Raymond, because you know I like him. Have you ever thought about this? The one who cheated is your boyfriend, Ruben. Instead of taking it out on him, you're targeting me? Do you really think what you're doing makes sense? I replied calmly. Professor Raymond is a leading figure in the XX industry. My field isn't exactly the same as his, but it's a related branch. Not everything I do revolves around you. Do you know? Seeing that I wouldn't admit it, she deliberately tried to provoke me. At first, Ruben firmly pushed me away. Because he had you. He said you were the most important person in his heart. I told him I didn't care at all. After all, if something is too easy to get, it's no fun. When he was suffocating under the pressure of his experiments, he didn't want to bother you with it because you had important things too. When he was alone in the lab, adjusting equipment, fine-tuning parameters, sitting there until dawn, it was me who stayed with him. At first, he told me to leave, but if I didn't go, what could he do? I was his junior in the same department. Even my father is friends with his advisor. Later, he just ignored my presence. But after that, Lorena paused, a sweet smile spreading across her face. After that, he started responding to me. Chapter 9. I comforted him, told him maybe things would get better tomorrow. He said, maybe. I brought him late-night snacks. He actually likes spicy food. But you don't. So when he eats with you, he always keeps things bland, never orders anything spicy. But he does like it. You understand what I'm saying, right? In front of you, he suppresses his own needs. He accommodates you. He can't bear for you to suffer even the slightest grievance. He wants to give you the best of everything he has. But precisely because of that, with you, he isn't his complete self. But with me, he doesn't have to hold himself back. Lorena took a sip of her milk tea and continued. When we go out for hot pot, we never order the tomato broth you like. Not even a split pot. We go straight for the extra spicy kind. I gave him a choice where he could simply vent his emotions without having to consider my feelings. After all, I'm not you. He doesn't need to cherish me the way he cherishes you, right? I told him, no one would ever find out about us. As long as neither of us said anything, you'd never know. And if you don't know, you won't be hurt. And you won't be disappointed in him. The emotional release he couldn't get from you, I could give him. I told him, Ruben, you can do whatever you want with me because I like you. You don't have to return my feelings equally. Even if you only come to me when you're upset. That's fine. I can make you happy, at least for a while. Don't look at me like that. Lorena smiled. Of course he refused at first. The way he trembled while pushing me away, it actually made my heart race a little. Even though when I kissed him before, he had wavered. But once a person wavers once, they'll waver countless times after that. After that, we started talking more and more. The conversations grew deeper. I could even get him to help me choose dresses, lipsticks, necklaces. Once, I fell in love with a necklace, but it was too expensive. I complained to him about it, all pitiful. The next day, he bought it for me. You know how attentive he can be when he treats someone well. I lowered myself so much. If it were someone else, they might have taken advantage of that. But he's Ruben. You should know he's kind. He wouldn't really treat me the way I said. He wouldn't truly ignore my feelings. I pouted and asked him to put the necklace on for me. He actually took it and fastened it for me. I stood in front of the mirror and asked if it looked good. He didn't say anything, just nodded. When I kissed him, he stepped back. I didn't care. I jumped onto him, wrapped my arms around his neck. He was afraid I'd fall, so he had no choice but to catch me. That was the first time when I kissed him. He responded. He's used to suppressing his emotions, so when they finally burst out, They're intense. I told him it was fine, just a kiss. Nothing more. I knew the person he loved was you. It didn't matter. As long as he was happy. You're afraid of heights. But he actually likes extreme sports. Did you know that? I like them too. I went on roller coasters with him. Went bungee jumping with him. It's a way to relieve stress. We kissed at the highest point of the roller coaster. And then it dropped at full speed. That weightless feeling mixed with the frenzy of kissing, it's exhilarating. I forced myself to hold back the urge to splash the scalding coffee in front of me onto Lorena's face just to make her shut up. But she kept going. The number of times we kissed grew more frequent, more natural. Sometimes he initiated it. Sometimes I did. He felt very guilty toward you and toward me. I kept telling him it was nothing. I was willing to be something hidden for him. He held me, and I told him I didn't want him to feel pressured. If this made him uncomfortable, I was willing to stop bothering him and leave him. At that time, I was sitting on his lap. His expression was a little dazed, a little lost. His hands around my waist even tightened unconsciously. You see? That's men. Even if their heart belongs to someone, they can still be moved by another girl who admires them deeply. So what if he loves you? It doesn't stop him from falling for me. Is anything I did particularly special? Lorena laid everything she had with Ruben out in front of me. Was it special enough to outweigh the 20 years you shared? I don't think so. And yet, didn't he still fall? From dislike, to guilt, from guilt, to pity, from pity, to affection. It didn't even take a year. In that sense, you could even say I helped test him for you. It's just a pity he didn't pass. No need to thank me. Girls help girls. After all, Chapter 10. She really can talk. I sneered. What do you even gain from this? You like Raymond. Yet you're going after Ruben? Raymond is great, but the tricks I use on Ruben don't work on him at all. He's the most challenging man I've ever met. Lorena laughed. One day, he'll become a man beneath my skirt. Before that, I can always pick a few difficult ones to practice on, right? The harder they are, the more they spark my desire to conquer. Like someone like Ruben, student council president, perfect image, and a girlfriend he's been with for 5 years, a childhood sweetheart of 20 years. If someone like that cheats, no one would believe it, right? That's what makes it fun. I was completely speechless. Why does someone like this even exist and have the nerve to flaunt it in front of me? So, stay away from Raymond, Lorena said seriously. You don't want to get hurt again, do you? Crystal? So after saying all that, your goal is just to make me stay away from Professor Raymond? I looked at Lorena. Heh, you really are shameless and completely without any moral bottom line. Do you feel proud, thrilled, watching other people's boyfriends fall for you? Is your life really that empty and boring? Without men's affection and obsession, you can't feel any pleasure? Don't you ever feel how pathetic and despicable that makes you? You become whatever kind of woman men like. As if you were born just to please them. Your time, your energy, your personality, everything about you can be compromised without limits for that? If you think making one man after another fall for you is your life's value and charm, then I truly feel sorry for you. As for Professor Raymond, I think the reason your methods don't work on him is because he would never fall for someone shallow, ignorant, without boundaries, and lacking an independent personality. Looks like Crystal is angry. Lorena looked at me. How about this? I'll give Ruben back to you. I promise I won't go looking for him again. And you stop seeing Raymond too, okay? After all, you and Ruben are so close. So many years together. Can you really bear to give him up? You're truly important to him. The most intimate thing we've done is just kissing and hugging. No matter how stirred up he gets, he'd rather take a cold shower than go all the way with me. Once, he got drunk and called you, but you were busy with experiments and didn't pick up. I volunteered to take care of him, then brought him to a hotel and got a room. I called him Ruben. I know that's what you call him. He held me gently, calling your name. He buried his head in my shoulder, rubbing against me like he was so aggrieved. He said, Crystal, I didn't mean to drink so much. I told him it was okay. And then he leaned in and kissed me. Turns out, when he kisses you, he's that gentle too. Later, even in that dazed state, he realized I wasn't you. He stumbled into the bathroom and locked himself inside. There's something called the broken windows effect. A lot of people, once they've crossed a line, will keep lowering their bottom line again and again, but Ruben always held on to that final line. He never completely let himself go. Crystal, I think it's because of you that he held on, right? Lorena smiled. Breaking up with Ruben must have hurt, right? He treated you so well, you two must have really loved each other. Did it never occur to you that after going through this, he would treat you even better? That if he ever met someone like me again, he would firmly reject her and never fall into the same trap? Then he'd be the same perfect Ruben from before, the one who loves you. Wouldn't that be good? He already knows he was wrong. On the day you broke up with him, he cut things off with me completely. He even gave me a sum of money, told me never to appear in front of you again. He didn't push all the blame onto me, he just said he couldn't control himself, that he was greatly at fault. He must not have told you that I seduced him, right? He just didn't have enough experience. That's why he was fooled by me. Crystal, can you really be so heartless as to reject a boy who took up your entire youth? Not give him even a single chance? How many men these days don't cheat a little? If you leave this one, will the next one really be any better? At least with Ruben, you know him inside out. He would sincerely treat you well. If you forgive him this time, can't you two continue being that enviable couple everyone admires? I didn't want to continue this meaningless conversation with Lorena any longer. I packed up my coffee, paid, and left. After ruining my relationship, she still had the nerve to shamelessly persuade me to get back together? First she told me, in detail, how my boyfriend had gradually fallen for her, provoking my anger, and then she turned around and told me that compared to his love for me, that bit of wavering meant nothing. What on earth was she thinking? Chapter 11. I spent a significant amount of money, pulled some strings, and hired a private investigator to thoroughly look into Lorena. It turned out this wasn't the first time Lorena had inserted herself into someone else's relationship. She started school late, in her senior year of high school. At the age of 20, she had an affair with a 32-year-old married man. His name was Liam. He had been married for 7 years and had a 5-year-old daughter. In the eyes of others, Liam was young and accomplished, a widely recognized good husband and good father. He supported his wife's career and cared deeply about his daughter's growth. Lorena set her sights on him. However, when she was with Liam, she never used her real identity or name. After the summer vacation ended, she cut off contact with him and went to university. Liam never knew where she went, but he had been searching for her ever since. In the file folder the private investigator gave me, there was Liam's current contact information. There was also a website. It contained posts written anonymously by Liam's ex-wife, Teresa. In them, she recorded their journey, from meeting through a blind date to eventually getting married. Liam was not a romantic man. He spoke little but did much. Before meeting Teresa, he had never been in a relationship. He came from a poor family, but he was strictly raised. All his life, he had kept his head down, studying hard, untainted, like a blank sheet of paper. Teresa felt he was different from the other men she met through blind dates. Though he couldn't say sweet words, he showed his care through actions, making her feel secure. She shared many snippets of their life, on and off. The commenters below all said their relationship was sweet, until one day, Teresa posted, "He cheated. He said he's deeply sorry to me. He's willing to leave the marriage with nothing and give me full custody of our daughter." This post will no longer be updated. The next piece of information I came across detailed Lorena's background. Her biological father was unknown. When she was young, her mother frequently changed boyfriends. Once, because a boyfriend didn't like her, her mother abandoned her at an orphanage. Later, after breaking up with that boyfriend and feeling a pang of guilt, she took Lorena back. When Lorena was 15, her mother got together with her current husband. At the time, he was already married, but 3 years later, her mother replaced his wife. Her current husband is not only wealthy, but also didn't mind bringing Lorena into the family with her. I closed the file, deep in thought. Chapter 12. I saw Ruben again downstairs of my dorm. I had already blocked him on every platform. Unable to reach me, he started messaging my roommates. When that led nowhere, he began waiting downstairs every day either outside the dorm or the lab, hoping to run into me. I never acknowledged him. But today, after hearing Lorena describe in detail how she had approached him step by step and made him fall for her, my emotions were inevitably stirred. Ruben, I've already said it, I don't want to see you anymore. The way you're pestering me now is only causing me trouble. It's making me hate you more and more. I saw his face turn pale. He forced a smile. Crystal, I'm sorry. I don't want to be like this either. It's just that we've never gone this long without contacting each other. I worry about you. If you hate me, I understand. I hate myself like this too. He stared at me for a long time, looking lost, repeatedly apologizing. I looked at him and suddenly asked, "That necklace, after you gave it to her, did you buy me an identical one?" The expensive necklace Lorena had mentioned, the one Ruben bought for her the very next day. It suddenly reminded me that Ruben had given me one too. It wasn't a holiday, nor my birthday. I had never even shown any interest in necklaces. And yet Ruben had bought one for me. "Crystal, do you like it?" When Ruben gave it to me, his voice had been incomparably gentle. "Why are you suddenly giving me this?" I had joked casually. "What are you plotting? Confess quickly." His hands trembled slightly as he fastened the necklace for me. "I just thought it looked beautiful at first sight, and that it would suit you well," Ruben had answered. When I laughed and said he had good taste, what was he thinking? Was he remembering the way she had jumped into his arms? Delighted? And the roller coaster, actually. That day I saw a receipt for tickets to an amusement park in Ruben's pocket. It wasn't that I hadn't found it strange at the time. Ruben hadn't gone to an amusement park in a long time. The last time had been 2 years ago, when he went with me. He's someone who plans everything. Going to an amusement park is never part of his plans. I asked him who he had gone with. He paused for a moment and said he went with his roommates. I didn't doubt him, because Ruben had never lied to me. At the time, he told me he would never go again. I was surprised. Why would he suddenly say that? He hugged me tightly, his tone a little strange as he said, "Crystal, I only want to go with you. Going to an amusement park. And you only want to go with me?" I hadn't sensed anything back then. Just laughed and teased him. "Ruben, why are you so clingy?" Now that I think about it, I was such a fool. When he was on that roller coaster, kissing Lorena like they couldn't get enough of each other, hadn't he already forgotten about me completely? Or was he, with guilt toward me and the thrill of secrecy, fully aware as he watched himself sink deeper, unable to pull away? That would be even more unforgivable. "I just thought that necklace was unique, and that you might like it," Ruben answered. "You thought she liked it, so I would definitely like it too?" I said. "Ruben, you're disgusting. Truly, after you started having feelings for her, how did you manage to come back and kiss me? Hug me, as if nothing was wrong? And how do you still have the nerve to stand in front of me now?" I looked at him coldly and asked, "Put yourself in my shoes. If I had developed feelings for someone else while being with you, could you accept it? If not, then you should understand just how repulsive your actions are to me. If you have even a shred of shame left. Ruben, stay away from me." Chapter 13. Soon enough. It was the end of the month. Raymond had taken the ticket to the month-end art exhibition, so he should be going, right? Thinking of Raymond, that night, drunk and not entirely sober, I had asked him an out-of-line question in his car. "Professor Raymond, have you ever liked someone?" "Yes," Raymond replied, listing a long string of names. I laughed. "Not academically. I mean that kind of liking between a man and a woman. No. Aren't you ever curious?" "Curious about what?" "Curious about what it feels like to like someone. Curious about what holding hands, hugging, kissing feels like." At that time, Renata's dorm was closer than mine, so she had already gotten out of the car. I leaned against the back seat. The alcohol and the burning sensation in my chest eroded what little rationality I had left. Unrestrained, I found myself thinking of the things Lorena had said to Ruben. She was so bold, so reckless, completely disregarding morals and boundaries. She had a desire to conquer him, it showed in every word, and Ruben's submission disgusted me to the core. At that moment, as I looked at Raymond, those dark, unspeakable thoughts, full of gloom and vengeance, were once again drawn out by the alcohol. He glanced at me through the rearview mirror and replied calmly, "Sometimes I do get curious. When when I'm bored. When we reached the dorm building, he stopped the car. I opened the back door, then stumbled slightly as I walked to the front. Before he could lock it, I pulled open the passenger door and sat beside him. The smell of alcohol lingered. Raymond's right hand still rested on the steering wheel as I softly asked, "Raymond, has anyone ever kissed you?" Since Lorena liked him so much, and she was that bold, hadn't she kissed him? Through my hazy vision, I looked at Raymond. He had a pair of gentle yet distant dark eyes. I watched the flicker of surprise in them, the slight shake of his head, the way his lips pressed together faintly, and the way he looked at me. Maybe it was because I was drunk and had just been cheated on, my miserable state, that made Raymond show me a bit of patience and tolerance. He didn't throw me out of the car. I said, "Do you want to try it with me?" The car fell silent. Raymond looked at me. "Do you want to?" I asked seriously. "I can teach you." "Teach me what?" Raymond still had his seatbelt on. I hadn't fastened mine, so I had more freedom to move. The car was parked in the shadow of a tree, the dark windows tightly shut. I leaned closer, but Raymond avoided me. "Do you dislike me?" Raymond replied, "You're just drunk right now. You might regret this tomorrow. So pushing away someone who comes onto you isn't that difficult after all." That was what I thought. "Get some rest early," he said politely. At that moment, the way Raymond looked at me carried a hint of gentle tolerance, even a trace of pity. It was as if, through my smiling face at that moment, he could see my battered, broken heart, knew that I had only lost my head for a while. On a night so unbearable it made me want to throw up. He was willing to tolerate my crossing of boundaries, to remind me where the line was. I stared at him blankly. "Are you always like this?" "Like what?" "Always so calm and rational, never letting emotions carry you away, never indulging yourself." "Not even once," I asked softly, full of curiosity. "Are you happy like this?" Raymond answered calmly, "For me, it is happiness. If indulgence is a kind of pleasure, then restraint can also be a kind of pleasure, right?" I smiled. That makes sense. I had thought he would be angry at my overstepping, that he would distance himself from me. When I handed him that exhibition ticket, I didn't have much hope, but he accepted it. After that, I went to attend a few more of his lectures. We also kept in occasional contact on WeChat. Chapter 14. On the day of the art exhibition, Raymond looked at me, clearly a bit worn out, and asked, "Have you been staying up late recently?" I nodded. I was preparing for my PhD application. "Studying late," Raymond sighed. "That's pretty intense." I said, "I've had an awakening." "What did you realize?" Raymond asked curiously. "The wise don't fall in love, Professor Raymond. I think your kind of lifestyle is better. Classroom, lab, home, a simple 3-point routine. It's so fulfilling." "A 3-point routine? Aren't I at an art exhibition with you right now?" "It's not like you go to exhibitions every day." "When I asked you before if you were happy, that really was out of line. Your kind of life is what you'd call truly comfortable." I added, "Honestly, even when you're bored, you don't need to be curious about romance. It's all just stuff that fools kids. You'd be better off publishing another SCI paper. It's way more satisfying." Hearing my so-called words of wisdom, Raymond laughed. I've learned something. Professor Raymond, why do you like XX's paintings?" I casually brought up a topic. "Where did you hear that I like them?" Raymond asked in return. "From a classmate of mine." "Now I'm really curious who this classmate of yours is," he said with a faint smile. "They seem to understand me better than I understand myself. I didn't even know I liked XX's paintings." Fake intel really did me in. I gave an awkward smile. Maybe they remembered wrong. I wasn't particularly surprised when I saw Lorena at the exhibition. After all, she had seen the ticket that day. She had clearly done her homework when she talked about the paintings. She spoke fluently and confidently. When she looked at Raymond, her eyes were filled with admiration and affection. Lorena was the kind of girl who, at first glance, seemed as pure as a jasmine flower. If she were to tearfully say, with a trembling smile, "I'm sorry, I just like you too much," would people really feel pity for her and be unable to refuse? I silently watched her, and then thought about how she had been with Ruben. Was she like this then too? At that thought, I stopped myself. forcing my mind not to continue down that path. I shifted my gaze away from Lorena, only to catch sight of a familiar figure not far away. It was Ruben. After that, I barely paid attention to what Lorena was actually saying, until Raymond's gaze fell on me. "What do you think?" It felt like being caught daydreaming in class by a teacher. I panicked for a second. Then I realized this wasn't a classroom, and Raymond wasn't my teacher. "I think it's pretty good." A universal, non-committal answer. What exactly is pretty good? He pressed further. How would I know? Raymond smiled. What were you staring at so intently just now? At an art exhibition. What else would you look at? Of course. The paintings. I casually pointed at one. That sunrise one is quite dazzling. Lorena and Raymond both followed the direction I pointed. And at that very moment, Ruben turned around. Senior Ruben. Lorena greeted him naturally with a wave. Ruben looked at me, then walked over. What a coincidence, Lorena said. After a few polite exchanges, she suggested, "It's almost time to eat. Why don't we all go together? I know a Jiangsu cuisine restaurant nearby that's really good." Crystal, you prefer lighter flavors. Is Jiangsu cuisine okay for you? I'm fine with it. What about you, Professor Raymond? I looked at him. I'm not picky, Raymond replied. The four of us sitting at one table felt a bit strange. Ruben's attitude toward Lorena was rather cold, whether intentionally or not. I couldn't tell. Lorena, still smiling, kept trying to find common topics. Since all four of us were in the same professional field, there was no shortage of things to talk about. Chapter 15. When we were almost done eating, I went to the restroom. As I came out, I saw Lorena at the sink. Crystal, what you're doing isn't exactly honorable, is it? What are you referring to? Raymond has nothing to do with what's between us. You getting close to him, attending his classes, inviting him to the exhibition, are you trying to make him fall for you just to make me suffer? Lorena's question was even more direct than last time. Then I suggest you save your effort, because even if he falls for you, even if he ends up with you, I won't give up. In fact, it would only make things more exciting for me. I looked at her and asked, being the third person in someone else's relationship excites you? Why? Because you lack love? Being abandoned by your mother as a child must have felt awful, right? She was the closest and most important person in your life. Your only support. Yet for a man she had only known for a few months, she threw you into an orphanage. You were afraid of being abandoned by her again. So at the very beginning, the person you tried to please without limits must have been your mother, right? She moved from one man to another, seeking their protection. After marrying your stepfather, she devoted herself entirely to him, never having the time to care about you. The more a person lacks something, the more they crave it, sometimes to the point of being trapped by that craving for life. And what Lorena had never received was love. Lorena was clearly repulsed by me bringing up her past. Where did you even find out about this? This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. How does it not? I continued calmly. I also know that Ruben wasn't the first relationship you interfered in. The first one was Liam, right? Liam had a happy, complete family. Did the love he had for his wife and daughter make you feel envious? Did you wish he could love you like that? In their relationship, you saw something you wanted, so you did whatever it took to get him, didn't you? You were neglected by your mother growing up, while craving love. You also craved attention, a sense of being seen, and breaking apart a deeply loving relationship. A marriage everyone admired, turning a man who once had eyes only for his partner, who initially felt nothing for you, into someone who couldn't help but fall for you and become consumed by you. That's your most direct way of gaining a sense of existence and love, isn't it? For you, receiving love has never been easy. So the harder it is, the more it excites you, the more it feeds your desire to conquer. It was the same with Liam. And it's the same with Ruben. And once you gain their favoritism, they stop seeming so great. After all, what kind of truly good man cheats? So the moment you win them over is also the moment you start looking for your next target. You're never satisfied, because what you desire most is always what you can't have. In that case, Raymond must be different for you, right? Unlike Ruben and Liam, he's single. What attracts you to him isn't his love for a partner. In your eyes, He must be a genuinely good person, doesn't he? You investigated me? Last time, my words had felt like punching into cotton, ineffective. But this time, Lorena's expression changed. You think you understand me? You think this gives you control over me? I don't think I understand you, and I'm not trying to control you, I said with a small smile. I just think that having an unfortunate upbringing doesn't give you the right to destroy other people's relationships. You'd rather lower yourself completely while placing the other person on a pedestal. Is it because, deep down, you believe that if you don't provide that kind of emotional validation, no one will ever love the real you? The ever-present smile in Lorena's eyes faded into something cold as she said, I heard from Ruben that you're a simple, innocent person, Crystal, but it seems he doesn't know you well enough. Would a truly innocent person hire a private investigator to dig into me? Would they use my misfortune to attack me, to rub salt into my wounds? Even Ruben himself admits that he's more at fault. You couldn't keep him, couldn't control his heart, yet you're targeting me over his mistakes? I looked at her. You're angry? But that just proves you don't actually disagree with my analysis, doesn't it? I'd suggest seeing a therapist. Otherwise, if you ever run into someone truly extreme one day, things might not end well for you. Lorena stormed off in anger. But when I stepped outside, I saw Ruben standing in the corridor. Chapter 16. Crystal, do you not understand what I said? My tone was icy. Why are you still showing up in front of me like this? Ruben's gaze fell on my cold expression. I'm sorry. Crystal, do you have someone new you like? He was the one who fell for someone else first. How could he stand here now, looking at me with such pain and sorrow? So what if I do? My voice was light, almost careless. Is it Professor Raymond? He asked. That's none of your business. I walked forward, but Ruben suddenly grabbed my wrist and pulled me into his arms. He trembled, almost pleading in a low voice. Crystal, I know you're angry at me. I made a mistake like that. Don't you want to get back at me? I can accept anything, even if you fall for someone else. It's fine. Just don't ignore me anymore, okay? I really can't live without you. He held me tightly, but I pushed him away with all my strength. Don't make yourself sound so pitiful, okay? When you cheated with Lorena, did you ever think I'd be angry? The moment you developed feelings for her, we were over. Do you understand? Just thinking about how you were with me while also thinking about her makes me sick to my stomach. You didn't break up with me, yet you couldn't let her go either. Trying to have the best of both worlds is absolutely disgusting. Crystal, I could never break up with you. I never even thought about it. I admit, maybe for a few moments, I did feel a bit of something for her. But in my heart, she can't even begin to compare to you. I've already cut things off with her. We've been together for so many years. How could I possibly let you go? Ruben looked at me almost obsessively. These past few days, I've really regretted it. Crystal, I'll do anything you want, as long as you can calm down. Nothing you do will help. Ruben, I said, if I hadn't caught you kissing her with my own eyes, you'd probably still be together right now, wouldn't you? I let out a cold laugh. You're the one who betrayed me first. I really don't understand how you still have the nerve to stand here and ask me to forgive you. Right now, not only do I have someone I like, but that person is already my boyfriend. So what? Ruben, if you keep bothering me, are you planning to be the third party now? You have a boyfriend? Of course. But that of course didn't come from me. I turned around and saw Raymond holding a receipt. It seemed that to pay, he had to pass through this corridor. Raymond walked up to my side and held out his hand to me. I looked at him in slight surprise, but he winked at me. Ruben's expression turned extremely unpleasant when he saw our hands clasped together. Didn't you say you could accept anything? I jabbed at him. Ruben stared at me, the light in his eyes dimming bit by bit. Did it hurt? Did it hurt as much as it hurt me when I saw him kissing Lorena? Chapter 17. Thanks for just now. Just helping out in an emergency, Raymond said. He held my hand as we went to pay the bill, then paused for a moment and asked, was he chasing you? It seemed Raymond had only heard the last part and assumed Ruben was just a persistent suitor bothering me, so he stepped in to help. After a brief silence, I said, yeah, but I've already sworn off romance and locked my heart, learning from you. Focusing entirely on academics now. Learning from me? Raymond glanced sideways at me. I haven't sworn off romance. Only then did I realize we had already walked quite far, and Raymond seemed to have forgotten to let go of my hand. I gently pulled my hand away and asked, "Then what kind of girl do you like?" Thinking of Lorena again, I frowned. "Are you close with Lorena?" Raymond let out a soft laugh. "Not really." "That's good. You'd better stay away from her," I said. "Better not fall into a trap." "Why?" Raymond asked with interest. "You two aren't a good match," I replied casually. "Then who do you think would be a good match for me?" Raymond asked, as if sincerely seeking advice. "Teacher Raymond," I said sincerely. "The feeling you give me is that you're already locked to scientific research." "Okay?" Raymond laughed. "Am I?" "Yeah." I even swallowed the key. "That impressive?" "It's a meme." "I know. I go online too." Chapter 18. Ruben kept waiting for me every single day. I could see him whenever I left in the morning or returned at night. It was as if he had nothing else to do. That evening, when I came out of the lab, Ruben was waiting at the entrance. I ignored him, but he silently followed behind me. His advisor, as well as senior students from his lab, all started calling me. They said he hadn't been showing up. He wasn't participating in projects, wasn't attending group meetings. If this kept up, did he even plan to graduate? I told him to go back to his own university, but Ruben only asked if I could give him another chance. I was so angry I laughed. This is your own education, your own future. If you don't even care about it yourself, what does it have to do with me? Looking at our overlapping shadows on the ground, I felt irritated and ran forward with my backpack. But later, I realized that wasn't a good decision that night. What I didn't know was that later that same day at the exhibition, Lorena had gone to find Ruben. She told him she had a way, one that might bring me back to his side. "Ruben, doesn't Crystal just think you're dirty now? Then what if she isn't clean anymore either? Wouldn't that make you even? Neither of you would be better than the other? She leaves early and comes back late every day. The campus is so big, there are always corners without cameras or streetlights. It wouldn't be strange if a few thugs slipped in. If, after something like that happens, you stand by her when she's vulnerable and tell her that in your eyes she's no different from before, and you stay by her side, loving her unwaveringly, then maybe she'll forgive you and never be able to leave you again." Clueless, as I was pulled into the darkness, I didn't even understand what was happening. Ruben, whom I had left behind, ran after me, but there were 3 of them. He was alone. In the end, his stubborn resistance angered the one in black among the 3, and a knife was plunged into him. The leader, afraid of things escalating, led the other 2 away through the bushes they had come from. "I'm sorry, Crystal." The blood on Ruben made my hand tremble as I dialed emergency services. I warned her. She said she was joking. I didn't think she'd really be this insane. Ruben's voice was weak and intermittent. After being sent to the hospital, his parents rushed over from a neighboring city. 2 days later, Ruben was transferred to a general ward. He would need to take a 3-month leave of absence from school. His parents quickly reported the case to the police. They also learned about our breakup. Ruben's mother held my hand. "Crystal, I've watched you grow up. I know you're someone who can't tolerate even the slightest betrayal. And I know this time, Ruben went too far. He never should have gone behind your back and messed around with someone else. Ruben has always been a child who never gave his father and me any trouble. He's disciplined, follows the rules, never steps out of line. I think he just never met a girl like that before." And for a moment, the novelty clouded his judgment. The doctor said if that knife had been even slightly off, the situation could have been much worse. "Crystal, life is long. You're still young. You'll understand in the future. Please think it over carefully, and give him another chance. I'm begging you, all right?" Even my father advised me to forgive him. After all, he had been willing to take a knife for me. That had to mean he was sincere. My answer was that when Ruben recovered a bit more, I would have a serious talk with him. Chapter 19. When the police came to take Lorena from the university for questioning, she was in Raymond's class. Her stepfather hired an excellent lawyer for her. The incident sparked intense discussion on the campus forum. At first, when the conclusion was still unclear, some of Lorena's friends spoke up for her. saying people shouldn't judge without knowing the full story. They said Lorena was a good girl, she had strong grades and treated others sincerely. Maybe it was all just a misunderstanding. Later, someone posted photos of Lorena kissing Ruben, and many people who knew Ruben were aware that he already had a girlfriend from another university. Then someone exposed what she had done back in her senior year of high school, getting a married man to abandon his wife and child and leave with nothing. That revelation immediately caused a huge uproar. It even made trending headlines. In the end, the case confirmed that Lorena had arranged, through an intermediary, for the three thugs to enter the campus and cause trouble. She couldn't escape prison. Chapter 20. Ruben's graduation was delayed. During his hospitalization, he had fallen behind on a lot of coursework, and the number of papers he had published no longer met the graduation requirements. When he had mostly recovered, I went to see him, to thank him for saving me. He had grown much thinner. We chatted casually for a while. Crystal, we haven't sat down like this and talked properly in a long time, Ruben said with a faint smile. Yeah, I nodded. Crystal, can we start over? Forget all those unpleasant things and begin again? You're seeing Professor Raymond right now. I can wait. I'll wait until you're no longer angry, no matter how long it takes. I looked at him, my tone calm. Ruben, don't you understand yet? Even if one day I'm no longer angry, I could never forgive you. The deeper the love, the deeper the hurt. It's precisely because I once loved you so completely and passionately that I can never forgive you. I used to think our relationship could withstand anything. You made me realize I was wrong. I was just being arrogant. I don't know why you think that as long as I calm down, as long as I soften, we can go back to how things were. You think the fate of our relationship lies in my hands. But clearly, you were the one who brought it to an end. Ruben, wake up. We're over. There's no going back. With every sentence I spoke, Ruben's face grew paler. In the end, he lowered his eyes, and I saw tears fall down his face. He cried, Crystal, I'm sorry. Before I left, Ruben said, Professor Raymond is better than me in both character and academics. I wish you happiness. Chapter 21. Ruben didn't know that Raymond and I were never together. He had only kindly helped me that one time. Later, he learned about everything between me, Ruben, and Lorena. After all, the campus forums and trending topics had been in an uproar. To be honest, if it weren't for wanting to get back at her, I probably wouldn't have met you. I admitted frankly in front of Raymond. I'm sorry. A trace of sympathy showed in Raymond's eyes. For some reason, it made me feel a little irritated. He asked me, do you still like him? No. I shook my head. I had placed that relationship on too high a pedestal, so when it came crashing down, the pain was unbearable. How could I still like him? What he destroyed wasn't just our relationship, it was my entire trust in intimate relationships. I think I probably won't ever trust someone like that again, no matter how good that person is. Aren't you angry? I looked at Raymond. I used you, just like the night he avoided me. Raymond was still gentle. He lightly patted my shoulder. You were hurt. Fighting back is only natural. Raymond, I looked into his eyes and said, thank you. Chapter 22. In my third year of graduate school, I successfully got accepted into my dream PhD program. Under my ideal supervisor, I was going to City B for my doctorate. On the day I left, Raymond came to the station to see me off. He had been both a good teacher and a good friend. I wished for him to soon be recognized as a distinguished scholar. He wished for me to achieve success in my studies. Sitting on the high-speed train, I watched the scenery rush past outside the window. A line of poetry I liked came to mind. Beside a sunken boat, 1,000 sails pass by. Before a withered tree, 10,000 trees are in spring. Everything from the past felt like those passing sails, and I was heading toward spring.